Hey, what's up guys? Jay here. Just wanted to talk about some of the things I discovered back in 2020 when I first started tinting windows and tinting windows for strangers. After I finished learning to tint from an online course that I took that taught me the basics, a very good course that taught me the basics, I went on and upgraded to tinting customer vehicles after I was done tinting my car, my parents' car, my brother's car, my fiance's car, and then I had no more cars and I needed more cars to practice on. So I started to charge the cost of film in order to get people to bring their cars to me and tint them so I can continue to learn. When I started to get busier, because my price was so low at the time and I was getting busy right out the gate, there was a lot of issues that I was dealing with. More specifically, the fact that when I was often finding myself overwhelmed by the fact that I was in the middle of tinting and trying to remember the steps, because as tinters, we understand that there's a certain number of steps that you have, and you really want to stick to those steps as much as possible. And so was trying to remember my steps and stay in line and in sequence. And then I would get phone calls, and then I'd get text messages. And then sometimes, very rarely with the website that I was using, I would get forms, but like maybe once, one form inquiry per month. Those were really garbage. But I would get a lot of text messages and calls or replies to, so in Canada, we have something called Kijiji. For those of you guys who are in the United States, your similar classified website would be, I think, Craigslist and probably something else. Anyways, so I was having a lot of issues because there was people that would text and call, and I didn't want to miss out on business and more importantly, opportunities to continue to learn, that I would answer them. Sometimes, depending on the stage that I was in, I would forget what part of the process of installing the tint that I was in, because I was new. And sometimes, if the first half of the two-stage method was done, the window was rolled up and the bottom piece was not on yet, and then I was caught on the phone, contamination is going in. And I wasn't really familiar and understood how to be aware of how contamination moved around and got into film in those days. So I was running into that problem, and it was really overwhelming. And I thought to myself, if there was just a proper way to answer all of my customers' questions before they needed to call me and ask for them, then I would be able to do two things simultaneously. I would be able to actively tint while passively answer questions. And so I looked around. Obviously, I couldn't find anything that did that at the time. There's more softwares now coming out that really do it well, specifically for automotive tinters. But there wasn't anything that I could find in those days that was worth the price that I felt like it should have costed. And so obviously, I went out and did it myself, and that's where Tintbolt came in. And so www.tintbolt.com, for those of you who are automotive window tinters looking to break out and be a solo tinter, not having to worry about these type of problems. You just want to tint. You just want to tint. So in this video, though, this is not to push Tintbolt. I just threw that in because it's a shameless plug, and I'm shameless about it. However, this video is about talking specifically about the things that you may want to have answered before the customer has to call you. And so let's get into that right now. So the number one thing, or not the number one thing, but in an order that is not necessary, it's just my order of putting them in. The first question that I like to answer is, what exactly do you do? So if you're an automotive window tinter specialist, and when I say specialist, it's because it's all you do, then you want to say that to customers. You want them to know whether it's in your content, so your social media posts, maybe YouTube videos, you're specifically talking about automotive window tinting. They know you're an automotive window tinting guy. They're not too worried about, oh man, maybe it does PPF, and maybe it does taillight tinting. Customers don't usually know. They think it's the same stuff. But, do me detailing. Like, you need to be specific about what it is that you do. Second question. This will be based on if you are mobile or if you are stationary at a shop. And if you're both and whatever, but you want to let them know your location. And if you're mobile, you want to let them know the area that you work in. And these things also will help with SEO. And SEO, in my opinion, is on its way out with AI. And because of AI, SEO is changing dramatically. And like Google, for example, is definitely moving a little bit away from the olden days and moving more towards an AI way of answering customers' questions, because that's what Google was all about. However, for the moment, for your customer, it's important to let them know your location or the area that you service, right? Third question that I would say is best to answer is your reputation or your experience. And so what I mean by that, it can be answered in two ways. It's better to get them both in, but you can answer in one of two ways. So one is to have reviews. If you have reviews on Facebook, Yelp, Google is a really good one. So Google like My Business, it's not called Google My Business anymore, or Business Profile, I think it's called, but Google Maps, basically. If you can get a location and get your pin dropped in, very, very valuable. Google is an amazing partner in getting you customers, qualified customers that want tint, right? Reviews or, gallery images. So images about your before and after, like the work that you've done. The more of those that you can put out there, the more customers are going to trust that you've done the work. They don't know if you've done good work. They just know that you've been tinting, right? Or they'll believe that even if they might be skeptics. So obviously don't cheat on this stuff, right? What's best, in my opinion, from my experience when I got started, is before and after pictures, right? You get the car come in, take a picture. When you're done, take a picture. If you can, if you have the time, take during pictures, pictures of you doing the work during. This is going to help your reputation. This is going to help people believe that you know what you're doing, or that you at least do what you say you do, right? Fourth thing would be the quoting. So this is a big one, right? Because the vast majority of the questions that you're going to get is about the prices of your installs. So the more accurately you can quote, the better, but you don't have to be able to accurate down to the model, or you don't have to be able to quote down to the model of the vehicle. You can get away with what we call in web development, a menu website or a brochure website. And this is basically the typical website that you've seen, even in the tint community. The typical website you see is, it'll say sedans, this price to this price, four-door trucks or large trucks, this price to this price, SUVs, right? Very static. So think of it as if you go to McDonald's or you go to A&W, you go to the fast food restaurant and you see the menu and it tells you the cheeseburger is this price, right? It's just a menu. Again, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're answering the customer's questions. But some customers, because of the static nature of those type of menus, you still might get calls because the customer wants to be a bit more specific if that price that they saw online is the same for their specific vehicle. But it's better than nothing. The next thing, fifth thing, that you would want to answer before your customer feels the need to call or contact you in order to ask you is your availability. So often customers will call, hey, what's your price? There's the price. Are you available today? Are you available tomorrow? Right? Or when's your next availability? If you can answer that question, that's another massive question. Those two big questions are the price and the availability. So answer that question. You've taken a whole lot of work off your hands. Doesn't mean that customers won't call because you've answered it online. It just means that you've removed a lot of those questions for a lot of customers, right? And then finally, can I book with you? Can I book today? Can you book me in right now? Can you book me, right? If you're able to offer your customers or your potential customers a way to book themselves in, to self-book, you've just taken a huge hassle off of your hands. Again, this doesn't stop 99% it doesn't stop the majority of your customers or all of your customers. It stops a good amount of them. For example, with the Tintbolt system that I built, March, we're now in March here. I think all through March, we've gotten a good 8 or 9. It's only all through March. It's only March 7th right now. And we've gotten a good 8 or 9 bookings that I never spoke to until they showed up to the shop. or until they showed up to the garage, right? And so that's a beautiful feature. We get a lot of phone calls. My assistant answers those. I no longer answer those calls. I never liked answering the text messages or answering the phone. It took away too much of what I was trying to do when I was tinting and all the other work that I have, like building Tint. But we still get a lot of calls and whatnot. However, we get a lot of bookings that we never even speak to until they actually booked. And then we reach out to them, with our processes, follow-ups and whatnot, and making sure the customer understands what we're all about and how we operate. So it's a really important thing to do. I would say that those, for me at least, and for my experience with building out the systems like this, these have been the questions these questions, having answered them before the customer needs to ask them, has been a really, really, really important and a big difference, I think, made in my business, and it's a big difference that it made in the businesses of Tint customers. So again, this is not to push Tint. You can you can answer these questions through any means. If you don't have Tint, you can create a similar system using Zapier, right? Go and get a regular website, answer some of those basic questions, like what you do, pictures, reviews, brochure or menu style quoting, pricing, if you will. And then maybe you can use Zapier, or you can embed Calendly, right, for the availability in calendar. You can do these things and mix and put them together and do it yourself. I'm just saying that by doing them, you're going to, as a solo tinter, relieve a lot of the stress that comes with being fresh and new into a business, especially if you're in the summertime. Even if, like, it's cold out here in Canada, right? It's very seasonal window tinting, so it gets slow and depressing for a business. And then it gets crazy busy in the summertime. For those of you guys where it's crazy busy year round, this is going to be a huge relief off of your shoulders. All right. And make it easy to use for yourselves. Don't make it more of a hassle. Don't make it into something that's going to bring more headaches into your life. Just make it as simple and easy as possible, but make it efficient so that you can have a better experience going through the journey of being your own independent developer, or independent tinter, or being a solo tinter, or being your first time business owner, or your first time successful business. Whatever it is, make it easy for yourself. I hope this was helpful to somebody. I hope you guys enjoyed this somehow. I hope this was valuable, and I hope it changes your perspective, on how efficiently and effectively you can run your businesses. All right, guys. Catch you guys on the next one. Thank you for being here. Like, share, subscribe. Actually, share this to somebody that you may feel like would benefit from this video and this content, these suggestions. Share it far and wide. All right. So catch you guys on the next one. Talk to you later. See ya.